We have three tabs in this spreadsheet. The first tab is called the worksheet. You can see my arrow. And the second tab is called the data set. That is where we have the data set. This is just a made-up data set. It is not real. And then we have the data validation sheet. So the topic is, we have this question. We want to monitor the daily temperature changes in animals presented at probably the State Veterinary Hospital in Mokola. So that's our hypothetical research question. And for that, we need to collect some data. And this hypothetical data set that we have collected include the unique ID of the animals. One thing that is encouraged when you're collecting research data is to anonymize your data set. So you don't want to, especially when you're working with human data. So, well, because we work with animal data, we can always still use their name. But when you're working with human data, you don't want to expose the name of your participants, the name of your patient. So you anonymize it, and that's why we use it. We do this in veterinary practice, and that is why we put numbers or assign case file or something to our patients. So we want to have a unique ID for every one of the animals we are collecting data on. We want to collect their name. We want to note their species. We want to note their age, sex, and then what we are trying to answer, the temperature changes. So for this data set, they have collected the temperature day 1, day 2, and day 3. So that is our hypothetical data set. So now I want you to go on the tab called worksheets, because that is where you'll be working on. And I'm going to go online now. So on the tab called worksheet, it is empty. So for us to practice autofill, we are going to be working on unique data, unique ID. This is assuming everyone has entered data in Excel before, but if you have not, just try as much as possible to follow through with this training. So you can decide to type unique ID in this first cell, or it's from data sets. To copy, you select the whole of the data called column A. So if you can see my arrow, if you can put your cursor on this column called column A, and then you do Control C, or you can right click on it. This is assuming there are people here who haven't used Excel before. If you have used Excel before, just go ahead and copy and paste it into that worksheet tab. So you copy, and then you go on the worksheet. You select this column A again, select the entire column A, and then Control V, or you can just right click and paste. So that is how to enter unique ID if you want to use copy and paste. We are not using copy and paste, we are using autofill today. So I'm going to be deleting everything here. And to use autofill just means you want Excel to copy everything for you. So autofill is used for things in series, like numbers, like days of the week, months of the year, even years. So if supposing I want to enter from 1 to, you can continue to click 3, 4. You can continue to do this, but it's going to take a lot of time. So what you're going to be using is autofill. So when you're using autofill for numbers, you select the first two numbers. Note that I said the first two numbers, not only one number. So you select the first two numbers. When you do that, a small square appears here. A small square, green square, if you can see it, it appears here. When you put your cursor on this small square, hold it down, and then drag it down up to where you want to whatever extent you want it to get it to. Excel will automatically fill up this number. So let's stop at 50. I'll try as much as possible to repeat whatever we are doing here. Select the first two numbers. Look at you see the small square, click on it, and then drag down, and everything will be automatically filled for you. Now, it's possible that, let's see what happens if you don't select the first two. If you just select the first, the first numbers that you enter, the first number that you entered, the square will still appear. You can click down on it and then drag down to wherever you want it to go to. But what will happen in this case, because it is numbers we are entering, Excel will just copy numbers. So there's this can be rectified. What you can do in this case is, on the last number, you see a small pop-up option that is saying autofill option. So you can select that and then tell Excel to fill series, and then it will correct it. I can go back, copy just only the number, just only the first number. What will happen is Excel will only copy it. It's not gloomy. You can always rectify it. Click on the last number. Just touch your cursor on the last number to bring this option. Click on the drop-down arrow, and then select fill series, and then it will change it to the series you want to fill. So autofill can be used for anything. Like I said, it can be used for days of the week. Let's do Monday, for instance, and then fill it down, and then it will fill up the rest of the days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then start again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as long as you want to go. You can do it, you can do vertically, you can do horizontally too. So for instance, if you want to fill across, you click on it and then click on the first one, and then you fill across. Excel will automatically do that. If it is, for instance, if you are a business owner and you want to take stocks of your products, and then product one, can enter product one, because it is number now, you want to enter the two, you want to select the first two numbers, so product two. And when you select, fill down, and it's going to be populated for you. So it's actually a cool thing to do. So I'm going to clear all of this now. Now that we have our unique ID, the next thing we want to do, we are not doing anything on the name today, and this name they are just names generated by my daughters. They are not real. So I asked them to mention name of animals, name they would like to name animals if they have any, and then they did this. So I want us to copy this name column to the worksheet column beside the unique ID. So for the sake of those that have not used Excel before, again, this is how to copy. You select the entire column. You can right-click and then click copy. Come to the worksheet tab, and then select the column where you want to paste it into. Right-click and then paste. See, let's go back to the data sets now. On the species, what we are going to be doing is called data validation. So data validation is used to ensure that you're entering clean data in Excel. What do I mean by clean data? Supposing this data set is in the clinic and you've asked your staff to enter different species of animals that, okay, I can't edit this worksheet because I set it that way. So let me come here. So let's assume we have species A, and then you have asked my staff to enter all the species that come to the clinic. And the way I want them is enter, if it is feline, enter feline. If it is bovine, enter bovine, and the likes. But maybe someone was not the one who was giving the instruction, or they don't even know what a horse is called, and then they wrote horse. And another person came and they wrote cow, Another person came, they wrote cat, domestic cat. Like there are different ways we can, someone can enter this column or any other column like that. So, but the data validation is used to set a particular rule for what you want entered in that column. So if somebody has done this, what will happen is that it will take your time to start cleaning this data. So when you want to do your analysis, because you only want to see feline, you only want to see bovine, then you now have to start changing cow. Everywhere you see cow, change to feline. Change to bovine. Everywhere you see cat, change. That's going to take a lot of time cleaning up when you want to do your analysis. So to prevent that error, you can tell Excel that this is the only kind of data I want entered in this column or in this cell. So the way to do that is you set your data validation rule. So I'm going to come to this column C now, under worksheet, column C, type SPC. So because what I want is bovine, either bovine, feline, canine, equine, anything, caprine, you would have set that rule somewhere. So where I set my rule is in this validation sheet, in this sheet called validation sheet. And you can see I've written down feline, caprine, equine, canine, bovine. If it is not applicable, if it is unspecified, you want to have all those so that you don't want to, you don't have any blank space. So let's see what will happen in this column now. Okay, you can't do anything in this column. But let's come to this worksheet. Okay. Let's come back to the worksheet. So to set the data validation rule, you select the column where you want your validation to be. So when you select this column C, I don't want to include SPC. I don't want to include the heading. So what I would do to unselect the heading is I'll press on Control and then press on the first cell where I have SPC. So it has unselected it. So what I'm saying essentially is in all these other cells that are selected in this column, I want a specific type of data entered in there. So how am I going to go about it? Now that we have selected the cells, we come to data. We have all these file, home, insert, then you come to data. Under data, there are all these very complicated stuff, but we don't need any of them. What we need is this third thing under data tools called data validation. So if I select it now, this pop-up menu will come. And what it is telling me, what it is asking me is, what do I want to do? So either, or now what it means is any value. We are saying that any value can be entered in this cell, but that's not what we want. We want a particular set of values. Values means the information you are putting in the cell. We want a particular set of information in these cells. So to change that, we'll come to this, and what we have is we have a list of things we want in this cell. We click on the list. Let me go back and do that again. This was what it had before. It had any value. Now I'm clicking on the list, and I'm telling Excel will bring up this pop-up menu. This source is asking, where is the source of your list? What list do you want? So on the pop-up, you see allow any value. Now select the drop-down beside the any value, and then select list. So when you select list, another line came down called source. Click in the source. Clicking on the arrow beside the source. On the prompt asking you to type in something, now go to this sheet called validation sheet and select this list, feline, caprine, equine, select everything in that list. When you do that, you go to the data validation, the arrow that goes down, click on it, click OK. Let's go back. Please click cancel and then go back to data validation. When the pop-up menu comes, select lists, because we have a list that we want to specify in that data set. And then on the source page, on the source menu, click on the arrow that goes up on the source menu. Once you click on the arrow that goes up on the source menu, so just come back to this validation sheet and then select everything in column C minus the first one that is blank. Select everything in column C, feline, caprine. You can hold shift and yeah, you can hold shift and select everything. If you've done that, click on the arrow that goes down and select OK. If you now click on this specific column, you'll see a drop-down arrow beside it. So you have told Excel that these are the lists you want. So you can actually be clicking this list for the thing you want. Like if you come here, you can say what you want is feline. Column C, what I want is caprine. If you enter cats, this is what will happen. An error will come up. That is what we want to achieve. So if a staff member is trying to now enter this error will tell them that no, we can't enter this. This is the value you want in this data set. So for instance, you have a store and then you are selling different brand of cat food, and the brand you want, I mean, you have Royal Canin, what other brand is here? Jojo and others. And you just don't want somebody to write cat food. You want them to write that specific brand probably because they have different prices. So you can specify using data validation. So once somebody enters something that is different from the specific data you want, it will bring up this error saying this value does not match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. So what you have told Excel to do is specify what you want. So when you click on the drop-down arrow, these are the only thing that can be entered in this data set. These are the only things that can be entered. So I hope we have the time. We are going to practice this data validation again with another column. But now we see what is expected once we use the data validation. So data validation is very useful too when you don't want people to just be entering anything they like. For instance, somebody may even enter bovine, but they omit the spelling, omit a letter, and they wrote bovine. It will correct it because bovine is there. Excel will correct it rather than just allowing bovine. If you enter bovine in another column, it will allow it. But in this particular column, it will correct it because that data is there. So it's a very useful tool that saves time when you are ready to do your analysis, because then you don't have to spend so much time cleaning your data. So what we are going to do is now that we have that validation, let's copy and paste this specific column into our worksheet so that we have the data we want in it. So now that we've done that, I want us to just copy this age column into the worksheet too. Let's just copy it. It's a different thing we want to do there, and we are going to be practicing what we learned with Autofill now. So now that you've copied the age in column D, so in veterinary practice, age is usually entered in months because our animals don't live that long. So we usually enter them in months. But for instance, let's say we want to convert this to years. And this is the only formula we are going to be doing today. There are a lot of formulas in Excel. I don't even know half of them. So, and it is always valid. It is very, very valid to Google whatever formula you want to use in Excel. many people that do coding, IT, they Google their codes. So it is always valid to Google whatever. If you want to do something and you know that, okay, I can multiply this by this, but I don't know what formula to use, Google it in Excel. And I mean, Google it. You can, yeah, Google it and then come and use it in Excel. It is always valid to do that. So, but for this one, I know what I want to do. We want to convert this age to years. I want to do that in this next column. Age in years. So I'll enter it. One thing you notice when you are writing in Excel is it keeps spilling over. It's not doing that here because this text has been wrapped. And if you have the time, I'm going to show us how to wrap text later. So what we are going to do to convert this age to years is there are 12 months in a year. So I want to be multiplying everything in this column by 12. So supposing this first animal is 1 year old, I mean 12 months old, and I want to see what age it will be in years. So what I want to do is, sorry, I want to be dividing by 12. Is that correct? So I want to be dividing by 12, yeah. If the animal is 12 months and I want to see the age in years, I want to be dividing by 12. So what I want to do, tell Excel is, change this age to years in this column. So I want to specify this cell for this cell, this other cell, and then add my formula. So I'm going to be saying equals to column, I mean cell D divided by 12, and then enter. And you can see that it has changed this to 1 year. We had 6 months in it before. It even did it automatically because I've specified. So you say equals to, then you select the cell that you want to do the formula on. If you don't select it, then you have to carry your calculator and be doing the calculation. But once you select it, it will do it for you automatically. So you say equals to this D2 divided by 12, and then you enter. And there you have it. The animal will be half a year old. So once you've done that, you can actually use Autofill to automatically populate the rest of this data, and it will be correct for each that is here. So let's use Autofill again. Click on this green box and then drag it down to the last age. And you see that it's calculated it for each of the animal, each of their specific. So this one that is 24 months old is 2 years old. Now that we have done that, I said we are going to be practicing the data validation again with something else, and we are going to practicing it with sex column. So I want us to enter sex in this next column in our worksheet. Enter sex. So the data validation again, please, if you miss it the first time, this is the opportunity to correct it. You select the column. We don't want to validate the heading, so you can unselect that. And the way to do that is you can click down Control and then click it. And then, so once you have every other thing selected, come to Data. Under Data Tools, come to Data Validation. Select Data Validation. Or if what you did was select the drop, yeah, if you can select the drop down arrow and then select Data Validation. A pop-up menu comes up, and then we want a specific list in this, and what we want is either female, male, unspecified, or non-applicable, or even just female and male. You don't want somebody to be entering non-binary for your pets, for instance. You just want to see female or male. Maybe you're not interested in any other thing. So you would have set what you want. You'll have set the rule you want in a particular place in your worksheet. You can even set it in this worksheet that you are working on, or you can have it in a different tab called validation sheet. So we have our own in the validation sheet, so you don't have to do anything on that. Click on this, on the arrow in the any value, select list. So when you select data validation, so under settings, you have the allow. You have validation criteria, allow, any value. So under that, beside the any value, there is a arrow. There is an arrow. Click on it and then select list. Once you select list, Excel will ask you where is the source of your list, and then you see that source. On the source, select the arrow that goes up and then come to your validation sheet. So in our validation sheet, we already listed what we want in this column. So select this for female, male, NA, unspecified. Select them. And once you've done that, go back to the arrow on that validation sheet that goes down and click on it. Then click OK. So once you've clicked OK, you see the drop-down menu that will give you the option of things you can select in these cells. So it's either female, it's either male, it's either NA, it's either unspecified. We don't want to, there's not going to be an option for non-binary, for instance. No, it will not take it. So there's no option for don't wish to mention, because your cat cannot even talk. So yeah, the one that will determine their sex. So that is that for data validation. And you can use data, like we've seen now, you can use it for anything that we want specified in our data. We've used it for species, we've used it for sex. Like I explained earlier, you can use it for your products. If you are working, if you are a research student that is going on the field and maybe you're collecting, what you want to see is just the PCV and the MCHC, whatever blood counts you want to see. That is just what you want recorded. You can set that data validation rule. And by the time you are done with it, you have a very clean data set. To continue, we are just going to be copying and pasting this sex column into our worksheet now. And we're also going to be copying the temperature, all of the temperature. We are not entering them. And they are, like I said, they are hypothetical things. It is not real. We are going to be copying them into our worksheet. And the way I copied that is I selected the 3. You can select one by one, but that's going to take time. So you can select the 3, select F, hold down Shift, select G, select H, and then Control C. Come to your worksheet and then paste. Now, once you've done that, the last thing we are going to be doing is the data, is the conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is used to highlight things in your data. So we have this data now. It doesn't really make sense to us. So you can decide to be looking at it one by one and say, okay, Mimi has temperature 40 degrees in day 1, 39 degrees in day 2, 37. It really doesn't make any sense. But with conditional formatting, it will put in some colors in these numbers. You can specify some colors in these numbers. Now you can tell this Excel sheet to show me values between 42 and 40. For instance, you want to see what days have the highest temperature. Then you can look at it, you can tell Excel, show me the values between 42 and 40, and then it's going to be highlighted in whatever color you specify. And conditional formatting is used to generate heatmap. If you have seen heatmap before, it can be very beautiful, and although it can look messy at first glance, but it is very beautiful when you see all the colors highlighted. So to do conditional formatting, it is very, very simple. It is very, very simple to do conditional formatting. So we want to highlight these columns: temperature 1, temperature day 2, temperature day 3. You want to highlight the values in those columns. And so because that's columns we are focusing on, we are going to be selecting the 3 columns again, but I don't want to highlight the heading. So I will unselect that by clicking down Control and then clicking on each of the headings, and then to be unselected. So now the only thing I have selected is these numbers. So once that is done, you come to this home page, click on conditional formatting. So you see something like highlight cell rules, top bottom rules, data bars, color schemes. All of these mean different things, and you can use everything, but we want to be specific today. So for instance, if I click on this color scales now, this arrow, it will bring me some colors. The first one says apply a color gradient to a range of cells. The color indicates where each cell value falls within that range. That is not what we want to do today, because what these color scales will do is Excel will just apply different colors to your numbers. But that's not what we want to do. We want to specify. We want to tell Excel to show me number between this and this. So that's why we will be using this highlight cell rules. So as you can see, when you hold on highlight cell rules, it's asking you, do you want to see numbers greater than, let's say I want to see number greater than 42 now, for instance, I'm greater than 40, for instance. You can select this greater than. You can clean whatever number it brings for you and write numbers greater than 40. And then it's asking us it's asking you what color you want to fill it. Then you select the next arrow, and you can select any color you want. Let's fill with light red, pink, for instance. But that's not what we want to do today. So I'm going to do Ctrl Z and go back to conditional formatting. Then highlight cell rules again. But now I'm coming to more rules, because I want to specify what I want, and I want to specify the color I want. When you click on more rules, you have this pop-up menu. Let me paste it in the chat. In conditional formatting, you click on highlight cell rules, you click on more rules, you are going to have this pop-up menu. And what you need is that menu with the edit the rule description. Excel is saying format only cells with a cell value. So it is the cell value we want to use. If you click on that arrow beside cell value, it will bring a lot of other things. But what we need is cell value for today. So leave it at cell value. For today, let's select between. So when you select between, one additional arrow will pop up. I want to tell Excel what we want is format cell value between, let's use 40. Click on the first empty box between 40 and 42. Just type it inside. So you want Excel to format cell value between 40 and 42. So once you've done that, click on format. It will bring another pop-up menu. Click on fill if it is not clicked again, and it will bring some colors for you. Then click on the red color under. So what we want to do is what we are doing today is want to assume anything between 40 and 42 is too high temperature for us. So click on that red. And once you've done that, click OK. And then click the second OK in the first pop-up menu. And all of your values between 40 and 42 will be colored red. Great. Now we want to repeat it again. Come back to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, more rules. Do the same thing again. Format only cells with cell value between, now we want to change the numbers. Let's say between 37 and 39. Once you've typed 37 and 39, click on format. Now we want to color it yellow because they are borderline eye or something. So we want to color it yellow. Click OK. Click the second OK, and then everything will be highlighted. Now do it for the third time. Do it again the third time. More values, cell value between, let's say 33 and 37, between 33 and 36. Format, select the green color, OK, OK again, and everything is highlighted. So from this, you can easily see what days are terrible days when the animals have high temperature. Probably you are testing a medication in this animal. You want to see whether this medication is even effective or not. You can see these from this cell. Then supposing you want to present this to maybe the director of the clinic, this can be easily presented. Let's say, for instance, you want to show only the animal, only the bovine. You can click on species and then click on sort and filter, and then it's going to sort. To bring a pop-up menu, expand the selection. Yes, we want to expand the selection because we want the numbers to tally for each of the animal we are sorting. Click on sort, and then we have it. So you can easily copy out the value for bovine. Copy out the value for bovine, and they are the first three. Copy and paste here. And there you have it. You can actually put this in your presentation as a heat map. You title it heat map and show that the bovine called Missy and Sharper, they were the only ones that reported very high temperature on day one, and the others had moderate to normal or low temperatures. So conditional formatting is a good visualization tool that can be used in your analysis, in your presentation. And so that brings us to the end of today's session. I'm sorry we ran over time, but I hope we are able to go along with the training. There are instructions in this presentation if you want to take time to practice. Everything is shown here. Unfortunately, I couldn't share it along with the Excel sheet. But on the final notes, Excel involves practice, and when to get better in it, you have to practice using it. You can do basically anything in Excel, apart from writing essay. Every other thing, you can save your data in Excel. You can do your shopping listing in Excel. You can do your financials in Excel and the likes. So it involves us taking opportunity to practice using them to become better at it. And there's also going to be further training opportunities coming from us, likely next month, sometimes towards the end of next month. So please look out for it. You can follow us on our social media pages, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope you have gained at least one or two things today.